Trust me, that's all I can tell you about my business. Okay, Michael, why did you come here? When it's gone, and you have no prospects of it in the future, it's very upsetting. I seems like those men they hollowed. Out my soul, leaving wounds that will never heal, were the final words of Diane Keaton, the legendary Hollywood actress, before she passed away on October 11th, 2025. The entire film world was stunned, not only because they lost an icon, but also because of what she revealed before leaving about youth, love, and the pains that fame could not conceal. She had once been adored by Al Pacino, admired by Woody Allen, and even pursued by Keanu Reeves. Yet, Diane never married in her lifetime because she had witnessed Pacino's infidelity and having children with someone else, while Keanu Reeves only saw her as a mother figure. After all the glitz and glamour, was Diane left with nothing but loneliness? Or, as she once said, "I choose freedom because love is sometimes a prison." In today's video, let us delve into the untold secrets of Diane Keaton's love life to understand why she chose lifelong solitude. For over half a century in the spotlight, Diane Keaton remained one of Hollywood's most unique actresses. Not only because of her talent, but also because of her choice to live differently. While many of her contemporaries married, had children, and retreated from public life, Diane remained alone in her sunlit Los Angeles home, where only paintings, books, and old music kept her company. Many were curious about this unusual decision, and she only revealed it in her later years. It was during a quiet afternoon in Los Angeles in a small wooden house on a Beverly Hills where Diane Keaton had lived for nearly the last 3 decades of her life. The house was filled with sunlight, walls covered with black and white photographs, her mother, childhood in Santa Ana, days on the set of Annie Hall, and a blurred image from The Godfather. Diane wore a white sweater, her silver hair tied neatly, her voice still gentle but raspier than before. When the young reporter asked why she had never married, Diane laughed, a shy smile reminiscent of the 25-year-old girl who had enchanted so many men. Yet in her eyes flickered a thin veil of sadness. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, Diane gazed out the window at the garden where lavender swayed lightly in the breeze. A long pause followed. The reporter later recounted that it felt as if she were speaking not to him, but to her own past. Finally, Diane smiled softly, saying, "I have loved so deeply that I could not love anyone else. Perhaps that's why I never married." The reporter, despite having dozens of questions prepared, did not dare interrupt. He only observed her slightly trembling hands, fondling a now cold cup of tea as if each sip drew her back into distant memories. Diane continued, her voice growing softer. "I think each of us has someone like that. Someone we cannot forget, no matter how many years pass, no matter how many others we meet. And sometimes it's because of them that we never take another step forward." Then she stood up, walked to the wooden bookshelf filled with scripts and journals. From the top, she took down a worn brown leather notebook frayed at the edges. She did not open it, only placed it gently on the table, then said, "Everything I ever wrote about him is in here. I once thought I would burn it, but I couldn't. Some things, if erased, mean erasing part of yourself as well." The afternoon sunlight fell upon her face, a face once celebrated by all of Hollywood, now marked with the wrinkles of time and memory. For a moment, Diane was silent, then chuckled lightly. "I do not regret loving, only that I could not hold on to that love longer. No one in the room that day needed to ask anything further. They all understood." The person she spoke of, the one who made Diane Keaton unable to marry, unable to forget, and unable to forgive, still lived somewhere in her heart, like a shadow that would never fade. So, who was that man? The one who made Diane Keaton, a smart, independent, and vibrant woman, choose solitude for her entire life. Who could make a woman who had walked under hundreds of stage lights celebrated by all of Hollywood hold an image in her heart that would not fade? Who was it that made Diane, even past 80, still tremble and gaze into the distance as if searching for a face through the mist of memory? Let us look back at the list of Diane Keaton's most passionate lovers. First, the man who had the greatest influence in her life, none other than her 15-year romance with Al Pacino. One evening in 1971, under the dim lights of a Harlem restaurant in New York, Al Pacino and Diane Keaton met for the first time. They were there because of The Godfather, the film that would bring them both into Hollywood's spotlight. Padam, 31, with deep eyes and a lost orphan appearance, played Michael Corleone. Diane Keaton, 25, with a radiant smile and sharp intelligence, was Kay Adams, Michael's gentle wife on screen. That evening, amidst the laughter of the film crew, Keaton was smitten by Pacino at first sight. In her memoir, Then Again, she wrote, "Al was charming, funny, never stopped talking. There was something in him, both genius and mad, and oh, he was handsome." But Pacino, naturally shy with women, only smiled and kept his distance. At that time, they were just colleagues, unaware of how fate would draw them closer. 3 years later, when The Godfather Part 2 began filming, everything changed. Long days on set, intense scenes between Michael and Kay ignited a flame of real-life love. Pacino and Keaton began dating, living near each other in Beverly Hills, sharing endless conversations about films, theater, and big dreams. Keaton called Pacino the most entertaining man she had ever met. And Pacino, in his memoir Sonny Boy, admitted with Diane, "I found rare peace." They loved passionately, but their relationship was not always smooth. Heavy filming schedules. Pacino, busy with Serpico Keaton with Annie Hall, often kept them apart, making the relationship a cycle of breakups and reconciliations. Their love was a fusion of art and passion. Pacino sent love letters from Rome where he was filming, writing sweet words that made Keaton's heart flutter. She, with intelligence and sensitivity, helped Pacino perfect his acting, while he always admired her talent. They appeared together in 3 parts of The Godfather. And every time they faced the camera, the chemistry between Michael and Kay seemed to reflect their real-life love. But Pacino, with his eccentric nature and fear of commitment, always kept an invisible distance. Keaton once said, "We had wonderful moments, but Al was an unpredictable genius. Sometimes he seemed to be in another world." Tension crept in when Keaton yearned for a stable relationship. She dreamed of a home, a family, while Pacino, who had once declared marriage as a nightmare, always avoided it. In his memoir, he admitted, "I'm not good at pursuing women. If they don't take the initiative, I stop." Keaton tried very hard to maintain the relationship, but frequent separations due to work and differences in desire exhausted them both. She once shared with people, "I was crazy about him, but loving Al was never easy." Love letters from Rome were not enough to fill the void when they couldn't see each other. The climax of the story came in 1990 when both completed The Godfather Part 3. Keaton, then over 40, issued an ultimatum: "Marry me or we end it." Pacino, despite loving her deeply, could not overcome his fear of marriage. He chose to break up. Keaton later said, "I wanted a man not easily obtained, but I also didn't want to force Al." The nearly 2-decade-long love full of breakups and reconciliations ended quietly. They parted ways without scandal or resentment. Only beautiful memories and a hint of regret remained. After the breakup, Pacino and Keaton maintained a special friendship. They didn't contact each other often, but whenever they met again, time seemed never to have passed. In 2017, at Keaton's AFI Lifetime Achievement Awards ceremony, Pacino stood on stage, gazing at her warmly and said, "Dee, you are a great artist. I will love you forever." Those words moved the audience, and Keaton only smiled as if both understood that they had shared something irreplaceable. Pacino continued his career with iconic roles from Scent of a Woman to The Irishman, but his personal life remained tumultuous. Pacino never married, though he had children with multiple women: Jan Tarrant, Beverly D'Angelo, and more recently, Noor Al-Fala, 54 years his junior. Yet none of them replaced Keaton in his heart. He once said in his memoir, "Diane gave me comfort I couldn't find anywhere else." Friends revealed he regretted not proposing to Keaton, calling her the love of his life. This relationship left Diane disheartened, losing faith in love. But that was not the end. Alongside Pacino, another man had been Keaton's soulmate for 4 decades. Woody Allen, a sensation, playing the title role in 1977's Annie Hall, a Best Picture winner from writer-director co-star Woody Allen. Her character's floppy hats and wardrobe, making the Annie Hall look a fashion phenomenon. They first met on a New York afternoon in 1969 in the rehearsal room for the play It Again. Sam, when Woody Allen first saw Diane Keaton. He, then a director and comedian with a shy smile and witty stories, was looking for a lead actress. Keaton entered with a quirky look, baggy men's jeans, oversized shirt, messy hair. She captivated Allen with her talent and natural charm, leaving him staggered. In his memoir, Apropos of Nothing, Allen wrote, "She was like a beautiful version of Huckleberry Finn. Charming, funny, entirely original." They began dating immediately after the audition, and the romance quickly became an inspiration for cinematic masterpieces.